Hey, private practice dentist. In this episode, we're going to be interviewing a business banking expert that has been in the banking industry for 17 years. We'll be talking about ways to insulate your practice from inflation. Stay tuned for some tips that will help to keep your bottom line healthy.
Welcome to Dental Business Excellence, the podcast dedicated to inspiring dentists to achieve optimal growth and success in their practices. Here, top dental experts will share their insights to bring the latest technology, tools, marketing techniques, practice management strategies, and business solutions that will help increase your bottom line. Here are your hosts, owner of AMP Dental SEO, Adrian Baines, and CEO of White & Associates Practice Consulting, Christian White.
Welcome to Dental Business Excellence. I'm Adrian Baines, along with my co-host, Christian White. Thanks for joining us. On today's show, we're honored to be joined by an amazing guest. She's a business banking expert from U.S. Bank. She's been in the banking industry now for 17 years. Let's welcome Theresa El-Hage to the show.
All right.
Thanks, Adrian. Thank you, Christian. I'm glad to be here, and great job pronouncing the last name.
Oh, good. I forgot to ask that before we kicked off, but hey, I'm glad I got that right. Yeah. Well, we're excited to have you join us today. I'm going to let Christian kick us off.
So, Theresa, again, thank you for being a guest on the show today. I know you've got a lot of great information that's really going to help change a lot of dentists' lives today. So I think let's start out with this. Why don't you tell all of our listeners a little bit about yourself and maybe a quick short bio?
That sounds great. Well, thanks again for having me and just allowing me to spend time with your listeners today. So as you guys mentioned, Theresa El-Hage with U.S. Bank. I am a business relationship manager, 17 years here. And I'm fortunate because I do get to work alongside our dentist and truly understand what are their needs and help make an impact to their bottom line. And I get to do that by really coming up with a custom treatment plan that best suits their needs. So I help them with solutions to really reduce cost, increase revenue, and reduce stress so that our dentists not only have a better business, but better personal success as well. And I'll share the reason that I got into banking in the first place is growing up, I always liked just a nice smile, and then wanted to be a nurse or a dentist. But Christian, I think you know this about me. I'm definitely very much a gerbophobic, and if I see blood, I have to leave the room instantly. So my husband's very lucky that he gets to stay in the room and do all of that while I leave. So the next best thing really is to join U.S. Bank, our practice finance team, where we get to focus and help our dentist.
So Theresa, help me out with something. So when you get up in the morning and you say to yourself, you know what, I can't wait to get to work. Help me understand that. What is it about that that's like, okay, I get out of bed and I'm so excited to get to work. What is it about that for you?
It is helping people. That is honestly it. I have a client yesterday who told me, gosh, you just go above and beyond. And I said, I truly don't. I just enjoy what I do. So that is it, Christian. And not only that, because I believe in our solutions here at U.S. Bank, and because I do get to work with our small dental practices. So when I say small, typically looking for 1 to 3 dentists in a practice, you get to be a part of that growth and that story and that success. And that is why I do what I do every day.
So you help make you make an impact on the lives of your clients.
Absolutely.
Got it. Awesome.
Great. That sounds awesome. Especially in times that we're in right now, economically, I think our business partners, dentists in this case, they really need people that they can lean on to help them in times like this. A lot of people in business, they've never gone through what we're about to enter right now, because it's been, like 40 years. So let me ask you, what is U.S. Bank doing to help dentists insulate their practice from the rise in inflation?
That's a great question. And that's one thing we're experiencing now. And I believe we'll continue to experience that maybe even into 2023 with a slight decrease, right? I think the other thing that we're experiencing right now is a tight labor market. So with all of that being said, a few things that I do that US Bank does very well. And I'll start with saying, so we all know inflation, it drives the cost up. Mm-hmm. And that's caused by when there's a demand and then the supply is there as well. So with that, I think the number one step is I help dentists by taking a look at their cost. So their cost is going up. Where can we look at reducing the cost? So really, you got to get in charge of managing your expenses and then find ways to increase your revenue. So you get someone like me where I get to come to your practice and help go through those costs together. And that might even be as easy as starting with taking a look at your business debt. Is there a way to consolidate that to improve your cash flow? Or maybe we can consolidate that and reduce your rate. Rates are still relatively low. Another way that you can do that is just reviewing your processes. Can you get a better cost? Can you create efficiencies and save time and money? So I think our dentists know they usually start with supplies, and that is a good place to start. But the second part that I can do, and I do it for free for them, is take a look at your merchant processing, right? What does that process look like? Again, can we save time? Can we make it easier? Contactless payments. Can we create the communication between the practice and the patient and make that a better experience and a better experience for your staff and free up their time? So these are just a few very simple things that I can help do. I will also say that invest in technology. So again, you're looking to save time and money. There's rapid advancements in technology. I'm thinking of my son actually is going through right now getting braces. And so when you think about when we used to go into the dentist and you have these plates that they put the foam in and then you bite on them and that's how you get the mold of your teeth. Well, nowadays you go in and you actually have a camera that's attached to the dentist's mirror that goes in the mouth, and then it gets that full scan of your mouth. So before a process that took an hour, it now is instant. And just think that hour, you can bring in another patient into your practice. So it is truly about looking at technology, taking advantage of it, because now not only can you bring in more revenue, but in addition, you don't have to bring in another body to get that done. You've just saved your time to bring in another patient. Mm-hmm. So those are a couple of things that I say that I get to help with and be a part of that review process to make sure that our dentists are making smart decisions. Yeah,
good stuff. I mean, and all of that sounds like things that they can do to really help keep their bottom line healthy.
Yes.
Anything else that you would add to that? What those tips that you shared, or?
I think that's a great place to start. Is honestly just those first three things are really quick things that you can do that are definitely going to save you a lot of time, creating efficiencies for you, and then also a lot of cost as well. Yeah, for sure.
So Theresa, just real quick. So when you meet a dentist for the first time, just real quick, the process that you get to where you can actually sit down with them and start looking at their debt and looking at some of those things you just talked about, maybe just real quickly, just touch on that.
Absolutely. So it's my natural curiosity, Christian. I get to go in and we'll say that you are a dentist and you have your practice. So I get to come in and find out what things are going well, what's not going well, what are your goals, ask some detailed questions to really find out about those processes, and then do that review for you. So it's just investing a short amount of time for us to have a quick conversation, a discovery, and then honestly, I can do the work for you. So it's a very, very easy, simple process.
Can you do that process over Zoom if you have to, Theresa?
You definitely can. You can do it over Zoom. You can do it over a phone call. We have virtual options now. And then you get someone like me where honestly, I can come on site. So if that works, and maybe if it works better for the dentist to come in on a Saturday, because sometimes it does, that is an option as well.
Okay, great. So in the marketplace right now, there's a couple of trends which you've kind of touched on already. There's the inflation piece, there's the labor market piece. When you go beyond that for a second, and just maybe talk about some other things that you see going on that, right now that the dentist should be paying attention to.
Yeah, absolutely. I really look at it from a 5-year to, let's say, over the next decade. And it are some of the things that our successful practices are doing now, but I think are going to continue to be more prevalent in the practices as we continue on. The one that I ended with is technology. So AI, our artificial intelligence, it's really that cloud computing. And I'll tell you that it is becoming more accessible and affordable. So a lot of our practices are moving towards that AI technology. It can boost tasks such as communicating again between the practice and the patient, scheduling appointments, analyzing health records. And I bring that up, Christian, because US Bank is very unique where we own our own merchant processing, our rectangle solution. So this is a solution that we can help our dentists with, but this is something that we are going to continue to see over the next decade. I would see practices moving to this to create more of that automation. The second thing that comes to mind is our dental clinics. Some of them are already doing this today. They're seeing an influx of patients coming into the office because they are offering services, believe it or not, this is true, like Botox or derma fillers. And the reason they're doing that is there actually is a medical purpose behind it. They do it for patients that have jaw disorders. Right. Now, just think about it. If you're already administering that, and now you're adding that on as another procedure that you can offer in the dental practice, I will tell you, you definitely hear people that say, oh, I have to go get my Botox and then I'm getting my teeth cleaned. So it becomes a convenience factor, but it is a way for our dental practices to add revenue. So I think we're going to continue to see more of that as well.
When you talk to the dentists about that, Theresa, what is the pushback that you get from dentists? If you were to just real quick say, this is like the number one thing that they push back on.
Well, I'll tell you, some of the older doctors in our practices, they're like, what is this world coming to? Like, this is part of our practice. Do you share success stories with them, or you make an introduction? Right. Like, just talk to this other dentist and hear what they're doing. Then they start to realize, like, this is something that I should look into. And it does help you become more of that one-stop convenience shop instead of just going when you have a dental problem.
Right. And I think the other thing too is the reimbursement rates that the insurance companies are giving the dentists are going down. And they reduce that every year. Most dentists don't know that. They reduce it by a very small percentage. But it's not noticeable to the human eye. But if you kind of dig a little bit, you can find it. So, with everything, with the costs going up and everything else that's going on in the marketplace, and by the way, I can raise my fees whatever I want, but the dental insurance is only going to reimburse me at this level. I need to find some other way, like you alluded to earlier, about bringing in extra revenue from something.
That is exactly it. So how can you bring in extra revenue, and how can you reduce your cost in the practice? Those are the two most important things. The third thing that I'll mention is, so Adrian or Christian, have either of you used TeleDoc? So when you don't go into the actual doctor's office, but maybe you just have a question that you need to run past them. I do think in dentistry, we will see teledentistry. So I think it's just a way for us to further bridge the gap between the patients that need oral health services at a reduced cost. So I think that is something that we will see more of as well over the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, I've used a number of, virtual platforms even before the pandemic. It's like, if you have a sinus infection or something that that you get recurring, then,
Right.
it's great technology, and it would be awesome to see that implemented in dentistry too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and last thing on this about cost and increasing prices. Maybe you do have to ultimately raise your prices,
Mhm.
but in a challenging economy, it really is probably the last thing that you should do, because raising your rates can drive customers and patients to your competitors or influence them to go elsewhere. And when the marketplace is tightening up, that's probably the last thing you want to do. So you really need to evaluate that before you adjust your prices. But I mean, ultimately, a lot of people do have to raise their rates.
Exactly.
I think that, how can you increase the bottom line during times of inflation without increasing your fees? Ooh,
Hmm.
that would be it. That's another podcast for another time, Theresa.
You are
Yeah,
always thinking.
But that would be a good one to talk about,
for
because I think
sure.
we would probably, with the three of us together, could come up with some really good ideas. But anyway,
Absolutely.
you bring up a really good point, Theresa. Thank you.
Yeah, I have a dentist that comes to mind that does Botox. And when I started working with him, I didn't really understand why he used it. It's strictly for medical purposes at this point. He hasn't started, branching out and looking at, it's like a cosmetic kind of service.
So you get to contact him today, Adrian, and share
Okay.
it with him. Mhm.
Okay. So Theresa, let me ask you, like, if I was a private practice dentist, why would I choose US Bank and you to be my bank to help me grow my practice?
That's a good one. Um, it's a good one and an easy one. And I'll tell you why. Because US Bank is headquarters here in Minneapolis. We are local. We are a preferred practice lender, and we've been doing it for 25 years. So I'll tell you, we are experienced in doing it. I'll also share that we are a one-stop shop. So when you talk about convenience, I really enjoy that I get to help someone with their financing. But guess what? US Bank is unique because we own our own merchant processing for our dentists. That's a specific solution just for dentists. And I don't have to refer them somewhere else to receive that service. I get to help them. And because it's in-house, it is. It's a lot more affordable. It's a lot more cheaper. So I typically save our dentists quite a bit for switching. And then we really focus on our small business segment. So again, looking at those dentists with 1 to 3 in their practice. So we are experts and we're fast. So the reason I say that we're really, really fast is we offer financing options with or without prepayment penalties. We do not require any kind of outside appraisal. So it allows us to get things done really, really quickly. We service our own loans. We do not sell them. And by the way, if a dentist gets to bank with me, they get me for the lifetime. So they don't have to worry about, are you going to switch? Am I going to have a new banker next year, or who do I call? If they have a personal need, they're going to call me. And Adrian, I'm going to help them with their personal need or their business need. So you have one dedicated contact who knows your business very well and is going to be able to add value to your relationship. Talking about our financing, I'll continue along that way. We do offer up to 100% financing with 0 down payment. So that is a big benefit. It's customizable. So we can do terms up to 15 years, or if there's commercial real estate involved, we can go up to 25 years. If we have a dentist that is looking to purchase their practice along with the real estate, we can do one loan or we can do separate loans. So the sky is the limit. We really want to find out, what does that practice look like from a financial standpoint, and how can we make it stronger? And that's going to help me provide the best solution to them. So if there's dentists right now that are looking at acquisitions or expansion or relocations, maybe they are looking into the newer equipment that I mentioned, the debt refinancing, or I'll tell you right now, it's a really hot time of the year, Q4. So towards the end of the year, our dentists are really looking at buyouts. That's been really big, or equipment. And it's all about taking advantage of those tax benefits. Well, that's just a little bit of why they should bank with US Bank. And then, of course, bank with me is because they're in really, really good hands.
Yeah, I agree.
Great.
I think I think one of the unique things that you bring to the marketplace that is kind of it's a non-clinical benefit of what you do.
Mhm.
I think you're in the relationship business and you're in the people business. You're not in the loan business.
Yes.
Yes, there's this thing called a loan that we need to talk about and how we're going to do this and all the details. But there's a person on the other side of the table from you. It's not, that's an important piece to recognize. Because in dentistry, it's not about the teeth, it's about the person who's attached to the teeth. And the dentists who have done really, really well have figured that out.
Absolutely.
So the relationship is something that's important. People need to feel that, oh, by the way, the person who's talking to me about this actually does care about me. Wow, this is a brand new thing. I've never had this before. Wow, this Theresa person's kind of cool.
Yes. I must have told you some of my stories.
You did. So I'm piggybacking off of that a little bit, but I think it's important for all of our listeners to know that.
Thank you.
When you get knee deep in mud, it's nice that somebody actually cares enough to, throw their hand out and say, hey, I can help you out.
Yes, you got it.
Especially on a Saturday, when most people won't do that, or
Right.
at an odd time or something where, yes, it's a little bit of an inconvenience, but you're the client. I'm here to help you out.
And that's it. At the end of the day, our dentists go into the office every day dedicated to give their best to their patients. And that's exactly what I do, is I want to make sure that you're able to provide that and that I provide that to you.
Amen.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a great point for us to wrap up here today. I really appreciate you coming on and being our guest today, Theresa.
Thank you. Thanks. I appreciate it, Adrian and Christian.
And for our audience, thanks again for joining us today. If you'd like to connect with Theresa, you can find her contact information below in the description box. While you're there, please like, comment, subscribe, and share this episode with your colleagues. Thanks again for tuning in to Dental Business Excellence.
Thanks for listening to the Dental Business Excellence Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss the next episode. While you are there, leave us a rating and review to help us spread the word about the show.